everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Rachel and I'm a huge Eurovision fan as well as a musician. I'm a classically trained musician, and in today's video the time has come for me to let you guys know what my top 36 is for this year's Eurovision Song Contest. I'm really excited to share this with you. I've got a list in front of me and I'm just going to whiz through it as quickly as possible because sometimes I waffle and I just want to avoid that. Now, it's been a while since I uploaded my last video. I needed to take a little bit of a break from YouTube. I think this year has been very emotionally overwhelming for a lot of content creators, but I'd also booked some time off work. I'd taken a break and I went solo travelling across Japan, which was really nice. So I only got back a few days ago, just recovering from jet lag, and because I've been to Japan, I've got my special guest in today's video, Jigglypuff. Now, Jigglypuff was going to be the main special guest in this video until he told me that his winner this year is Estonia, and therefore he has been relegated to a background character in this case. I'm not letting him say anything because of that, which is a hint as to what my top 36 is this year. But anyway, shade over. Let's get straight into this and consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. And I'm going to whiz through this as quickly as possible. Let me know down below in the comments what your top 36 is this year. I'm excited to hear. And yeah, without further ado, here we go. So we're going to start with my bottom 6 this year, and the way that I've scored all of these is I've taken my original video score, I've listened to the song a few more times and I've tweaked it up or down depending on a few certain categories like chords, lyrics, vocal capabilities, that kind of thing, artistry. This is how I've scored it every single year. So the first one I'm going to talk about, my last place, someone has to be last, and a lot of you have probably guessed what this one is. It's San Marino with a score of 3.8. This one's just not for me. The rock sound could be so much better, it could be stronger, it could have a bit more guitar, just something a bit more punchy. I think the song has so much potential. It's got a Gwen Stefani feel to it, but it just doesn't quite go the extra mile for me. It falls very flat, so I can't put it any higher. But it does have a nice Spanish guitar part, which is like the redeeming quality for me. In 35th place, we have Iceland with a score of 4.4. Again, very dated sound with this one. I like Hera Bjork's performance. I think she's a good singer, but it just feels very cheesy. It feels like a Jet2 Holidays ad. It's just not for me. In 34th place, we have Cyprus with a score of 4.7. This one just feels very unoriginal. It doesn't feel like a lot of thought's gone into it. The lyrics feel clunky. There's too much brass in here, just thrown in left, right and centre. Again, it's just not for me. But I appreciate that Celia is young, she's talented, she can dance, she can sing really well. I just think she could have had a better song in this case. In 33rd place, I've got Moldova here with a score of 4.8. Now this one I'm conflicted on because I do feel like it has good production and she performs it very well live. At the London Eurovision party, she did a really good performance, and the song is kind of designed for an arena. It's designed to be played really loudly, but I just feel like the bare bones of the song aren't very interesting. It's just kind of there. It doesn't feel like it's trying to touch anyone's soul in that case, so I can't put that one any higher, but it's okay. In 32nd place, now this one really disappointed me, it was Albania, a score of 4.9. It would have had a 7.5 with the original version, but the revamp I really didn't like. I think it's a huge downgrade from the national final. It's lost its charm, it's lost its sort of vulnerability, it feels clunky, it feels plastic, it just doesn't feel authentic. I just can't believe it went from Zemrenindor to Titan. It just does not feel right. I'm really disappointed, really, you can tell. But yeah, really disappointing. In 31st place, we have Estonia with a score of 5. It's a funny song, it's an interesting concept. I like the kind of harp-like instrument, the sort of traditional Estonian stringed instrument. I like all of that. I just think it's not for me. It does nothing for me when I listen to it, when I watch the performance, but I understand that this has an audience who really enjoy it, and that's great. It's just personally not my cup of tea. And now we've come to slots 30 to 21. So in 30th place with a score of 5 is Finland. Again, it's a funny song. It does have like an interesting message to it, an early 2000s scooter vibe. It's just not for me. It's not for me. It is funny, but I find other songs more entertaining in this roundup, so I can't really put it any higher. In 29th place is Malta with a score of 5.2. This is very well performed. Sarah Bonici, you know, she's a really talented singer and dancer. There's a lot of ideas on the stage, but the lyrics just don't feel very daring or groundbreaking. You know, other songs of this genre have done it better. So when you're comparing it to other songs, it just doesn't stand out to me. In 28th place, I've got here Poland with a score of 5.4. There's some nice ideas in here with the synths. It has sort of a Grimes feel to it, but I do feel like it's quite repetitive and underdeveloped in places. They have 3 minutes in the song, and I feel like they didn't explore those 3 minutes properly. They just kind of copied and pasted the chorus and the verses, and then the middle 8 just kind of felt like it was thrown in there. It didn't feel sort of cohesive to the rest of the track. Just could have gone a lot better. But I do like the sound design. That's my kind of thing. It just could have been better. In 27th place, I've got Azerbaijan with a score of 6. Good vocal performances from both performers. It has an element of culture in there, and I do kind of like the sort of folk sound they've got. The lyrics is where I think this falls down. It feels clunky. It feels like it's stitched into the track quite weakly. It feels like the lyrics were written sort of separately from the song, and then sort of they try to merge them together, so it doesn't feel cohesive. In 26th place, I've got Germany with a score of 6.2. This is a good effort from Germany once again. It's catchy, it's well produced, it's well performed, but it just doesn't feel special or musically daring in this case, and that's where they might fall down in the final. It really is just there, but his vocals are brilliant, really good, really great live vocals. In 25th place, I've got Austria with also a score of 6.2. This is a catchy song. There's some nice ideas in there, but I feel like it runs out of steam quite quickly. Again, like with Poland, there's a lot of repetitive elements to this, but it is broken up slightly at the end with the breakbeat, no pun intended. I do feel like that kind of provides a bit more breathing space to the track and sort of adds in a new idea, but overall other songs in this genre have done it better, so that's where I think it falls down. In 24th place, I've got France with a score of 6.6. This is so well performed, beautiful vocals, beautifully emotionally charged performance. I just find that the backing track lacks personality, it lacks imagination. It's really sad because the vocals, the lyrics, the melody line is so full of emotion and so full of personality, but the backing track is just so flat. Flat pianos, flat strings, a really weak drum kind of machine in there. Just so disappointing to me. Yeah, let's move on. 23rd place, we've got Spain with a score of 6.6 as well. I do think there's a really good sound design in this one with the synths and the backing track in general, but I think here what kind of falls down is the vocal performance. It could be better. It's a little sharp in places, and I do feel like the vocal range is quite restricted, whilst the synths are all over the place and have such a massive range. The vocals are very constrained, and I feel like the vocals could have sort of decorated the synths a little bit more than they do, but it is good. I like it. In 22nd place, I've got Luxembourg with a score of 6.8. Again, some good ideas in here with the French and English kind of language blend, and they've got these extended phrases at the end of the chorus which sort of make the song pop a little bit more, but it just doesn't feel like it's reinventing the wheel. It's just a dembow percussion sort of reggaeton song. It's catchy, it's harmless, inoffensive, but is it doing anything special or groundbreaking? No, so I can't put it any higher. And in 21st place, I've got Denmark with a score of 7 out of 10. Great synth pop mid-tempo song. It feels like it drags a little bit. Again, it feels a bit repetitive in places, but it's performed really well. Saba's vocals are exquisite, and I think with a good staging, with a good performance, it could potentially qualify. It could be a surprise qualifier. In 20th place, we've got Czechia with a score of 7. This one's grown on me quite a bit since I first did a reaction to it. I think the performances have improved over the weeks. The studio track is superior to the live version as well. It has huge momentum in it. It could have a bit more guitar solo though, to make the song a bit more epic and fit more within its genre. It just feels like it kind of coasts a little bit too much. It could pop off a bit more. In 19th place, I've got Australia with a score of 7.2. Lovely synth pop feel in here and a great build up towards the end where it becomes a bit more choir like, and I feel like the verses just let it down a bit more. Chorus feels a bit stronger and has a bit more poignance to it than the verses in this case, but that chorus is strong and I think it's strong enough to potentially let them qualify this year, but we'll see. In 18th place, I've got Sweden with a score of 7.4. There's simple ideas in here which are elevated by good sound design, a good production on the stage, a good performance. I feel like it could do with a bit more harmonies in there. But yeah, I think for what it is, it's simple, but it's really elevated quite well by the live performance, and that's what I like to see. In 17th place, we have Serbia with a score of 7.5. I think this is a beautifully performed ballad. It has a great message, a great meaning, it has sort of a historical value to it, but it does kind of get a bit pedestrian. It builds up slightly towards the end, but I think it takes a bit too long to build up. It is vocally very, very well performed in this case. In 16th place, I've got Ireland with a score of 7.5, so Bambi Thug. This is an intense and bouncy track with great lyrics, this demonic feel, and I do feel like they have a really great stage presence, and from what I've seen of the rehearsal clips, this looks epic on stage. But the portion at the end with that kind of dubstep breakdown, it loses it for me. I just don't like the way it sounds. It's not my favourite type of sound design. I think it could have gone in a different direction. I think their other song, Tsunami, has that breakdown at the end with a sort of gabba portion, a sort of happy hardcore, and that popped off. I loved it, and I feel like with Doomsday Blue, they could have done something more interesting like that instead of the dubstep. But a really solid effort from Ireland, and I'm excited to see this in the final because I think it's going through. And we've come to my top 15 now. So in 15th place, I've got Ukraine with a score of 7.6. There's a really nice syncopation in this, in the chorus, to add a really great tension in there, and the melody kind of gets higher and higher as the tension builds, which is really nice to listen to. And the chanting and rap portion are also a unique blend, and they're an interesting mix in the song. It has a London grammar feel with those kind of echoey guitars as well, alongside Joey Hill's sort of wistful vocal. I really like it, and I think from what I've seen so far of the rehearsals, it looks stunning. In 14th place, I've got Portugal with a score of 7.7. It's very well performed with great vocal capability. The backing vocals, I think, are the standout of this. They're very detailed, nuanced and layered. They feel kind of special within the track, and that's what I like to hear. It's not just focusing on the lead vocals, it's focusing also on the backing vocals. Really nice to hear. And in 13th place, I've got Latvia with a score of 7.7 as well. So this is gentle and heartfelt ballad. It has a really good vocal performance. It's piercing, and it kind of averts musical cliches towards the end, where it kind of ends on a slightly low note. It doesn't kind of crash into a second chorus towards the end. It just like leaves the listener hanging, which I like. But I do think there could have been a bit more exploration of chords. It just felt like the same sort of progression over and over again. In 12th place, I've got Lithuania with a score of 7.9. I really like this one. It has a pumping bass line, a catchy hook in there. Really good stuff, really good light show. Yeah, I like it, but I like other songs better. And just missing out on my top 10 is Slovenia in 11th with a score of 8. I think the sound design in this one is the standout. This kind of ASMR sort of feel to it with the percussion, and then the vocal element, really big range, operatic, but also this sort of pop sound too. I really like it. It has an interesting meaning, and it's one of those pieces that you kind of just sit and listen to carefully, take in all the elements instead of having it on in the background. It's designed to be listened to very actively. And now we've come to my top 10. So in 10th place, I have the United Kingdom with a score of 8.5. So I think with this one, because I'm a bit of a musical dork, when I heard the Circle of Fifths chord progression in here, it's a bit of a hit and miss chord progression, but I do like it because circles, dizzy. I just like that blend. I think there's a sneaky little thing in there and it makes my heart sing. And I really like the synths and the sort of classical approach they have to the writing of this as well, harkening also back to that circular fifth steel, which is very baroque. So this is great stuff. In ninth place, I've got Georgia with a score of 8.6. I think the backbone of the song, very simple, but it's elevated so well by that kind of second half with the strings and that build up towards the end, the really kind of high virtuosic vocal line as well. I think this has a strong chance of qualifying. I'd love to see it in the final, and I've been listening to this quite a bit. And in 8th place, we've got Croatia with a score of 8.7. This one is the one that I want to win this year, despite it not being my winner. I just love to kind of watch Croatia have their first win, and I think they deserve it so much this year. This song's catchy, it's energetic, it has great dynamic range, it has really interesting guitar part which kind of marries in with the vocal line with the rim tim taggy dim bit. It's mimicking that, I love that. It has a great message behind it, despite it also being quite a fun song, and I really like that. It's kind of like Cha 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 last year, that fun element with a really kind of deep meaning behind it, which is disguised under that fun element. Really great. In 7th place, I have Armenia with a score of 8.8. I just find this one to be uplifting and joyful, a brilliant mix of instruments, that kind of flute, the brass, the vocals, really, really great to hear, really great. I think this one could be the Tranuletto of this year, we'll see. But yeah, I think final for sure. In 6th place, I've got Switzerland with a score of 9. This one is just a great mix of genres, unique and kind of personal story behind it, which is great to hear. I think Nemo's vocal range is also so huge. It's incredible to listen to. I think they just are so vocally talented, and I'm excited to see how this one kind of unfolds live as well. That drum and bass kind of backdrop, love it. And that piano middle 8 is so tense and beautifully composed. Oh my god, it's so good. And in 5th place, I've got Norway with a score of 9.4. This one has such a great build up and tension. It's excellent. The vocals are kind of marmitey, but I really like the tone of the lead vocalist. I think it's just well performed. It ties in with the genre so well, and it has nice chords, and I always love a good chord progression. In 4th place, I have Greece with a score of 9.8. This has such an avant-garde approach to the composition. It has these traditional Greek sounds, that Greek fingerprint in there, but it's also very experimental at the same time. But I like how they haven't lost the identity amongst all the experimentation. And it has a good vocal range as well. Very cheeky and playful, but serious at the same time. Very good stuff. Very kind of visually interesting as well in the music video. And now we've come to my top 3. So you all know what these top 3 songs left are. 2 of them originally got a 10 in my reaction video, and the other one got a 9.5, but I bumped it up to a 10 after listening to it quite a few times. So in 3rd place, we have this year Italy, Angelina Mango with La Noia. This is extremely impressive with the vocal flexibility, dexterity and the attitude in there. It's really well performed. Every time she's performed this, it's never missed. It's always been great. And the musical conversation between the guitars and brass in the chorus I think is genius. It has a light feel to it. It's tropical, it's danceable, it's so catchy in every element of the song. The verse, the chorus, the pre-chorus, the a cappella part. There's not a moment in here that I think is not catchy. It's great. And now my 2nd place this year. It was hard to choose between these 2, but I've gone for the Netherlands as my runner-up this year. I just think the Gabba section, the happy hardcore, is just up my street. I love it. I love the sound of it. I love the plasticky pianos. It's energetic. It adds a bit more depth as well towards the end with that sort of poignant section too. Really great piano lines, and when I'm listening to it, I almost hear a little bit of a classical approach in some of the ways they have the chord progressions and the cadences. I'm thinking, who's written this? They've been listening to a little bit of Bach and Scarlatti recently. just thinking. But I might just be one of those people like an English teacher doing a poetry analysis and just sort of BSing my way through it and sort of over-analysing crap. But of course my winner this year is Belgium. Surprise, surprise. I've given this a score of 10. I think this year my winner every year is always the song that I'm listening to the most and that I've got an appetite for. And I think this year I just wanted to get lost in a sad song, and this song just did it for me. The lyrics, the somberness, it's heart-wrenching, it's kind of relatable as well. I've just listened to the lyrics and kind of thinking, yeah, been there, done that. Interesting backing vocal layers as well. When the backing vocals say when the party's over, and then later on Musti sings that line, I like that kind of interplay. Really great stuff. And I just love the crispness of the hi-hat, just specifically the way the hi-hat open and closes in the song. Just sounds so delicious. I don't know why. Go and listen to it, guys, and tell me if you don't feel hungry when you hear it. But yeah, that is my top 36 this year. I'm really pleased that I got to share that with you guys today. Stay tuned for more to come, because the next thing I'm going to be doing is sitting down with my sister Katrina and showing her all of the songs this year, just like we did last year. And I'm excited for that one. So stay tuned and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.